allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Patty, can we take a roll call, please? Are you ready? I didn't even talk to you yet. I said, hello, I hadn't even done to do that.
I'm not sure.
Debbie's obviously absent. Dave?
Here.
Carolyn?
Here.
Gary?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Okay,
All right, I'm going to call the Plan Commission for the Township of McMillan for January 2nd, 2017 to order. Do a roll call. I'll do it real quick. John?
Present.
Ron?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
John? 4 out of 5 present. Okay.
okay, the first thing on the agenda is the unfinished business of approve or disapprove Mikulski CSM. Now, we did not get an approval from you, so and the hearing in the county is tomorrow. So,
Yeah, this is a county situation, and they've asked that it be rezoned. But checking our zoning, as we have it on the maps, it doesn't require a rezone. What's happening is Mrs. Mikulski owns 4 acres of land total. And what she's doing is she's going to sell 2 acres off, she's going to sell 1.6 acres off, leaving a 2-acre lot. So the neighbor will have 3.6 acres, and she will have 2 acres. So consequently, I have no reason to understand why they want any type of rezone. I don't believe there's a rezone. It's just a approval of the CSM, which Reland did. What he did actually is redid the structure, the parcel. Okay, and let's see.
there's not any of that business with the farmland preservation, is there?
No.
According to the draft map from 1223 Carolyn, it's zoned RR, rural residential.
Residential, yeah. And there's no indication of any type of change as far as the zone change is concerned.
According to this map, they got, I don't know, there's 2 lots there, lot 1 and lot 2.
Right.
Lot 1's got 2 acres, lot 2 is 2.16 acres, but that includes the buildings, right? Because then they're.
No, this is a separate lot. What's happening, Joe, is that person who owns this
No,
one.
but wait a minute, that can't be right, because the 2 acres is less than the 2.16 acres. So this whole thing has to be the 2.16 acres, lot 2. That whole piece there with the buildings and that, there must be 1 acre in there, and she's selling the rest of the 2.16 acres to the person that's got 1 acre already. Is that right? Is that what's happening?
The neighbor is purchasing 1.67 acres, which leaves a 2-acre parcel. Okay, so what we can see here.
It leaves a 2-acre parcel here.
Right.
The one to the west.
First one. Lot number 1.
Yeah, but this says that lot 2 is 2.16 acres.
Which is being attached to this one.
The combined acreage is that.
Okay, the
Okay.
combined acreage is,
Right.
that's, I think that's what I said in a different way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured, that's what your question was there.
2.0 and 1.6 equals
It always did in my book, yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
I can get confused.
And these things are both zoned the same, and she's selling off that,
Right, she's splitting the lot.
the rest of it to that.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So it's actually, she's got 3.16 acres, she's selling 1.16 acres to the
Here's
person that's got
the
one already.
explanation. She owns 3.67 acres. okay?
Okay.
And what she's selling off, you know,
The 1.6.
1.6, yeah.
Okay.
Correct, all right? Okay. You guys understand?
Yeah, I know where, yeah, because this came back, early part of November originally.
Yeah, we saw them.
Just hit
That's
us
what this is,
with
With an
1.6? No, this is 1.6, and this is 1, so two together are 2.16.
1.6, 1.6 and 1.
Oh, yeah, okay.
2.6.
Yeah. It's either 1.6 or 1.16,
So why are they asking that we rezone?
I have no clue.
cash cow.
Other than all they have is a revenue seeking device. I have no clue. There's no reason to. It's already zoned properly. And when you split them up, you're still at the RR minimum, yeah. 2 acre minimum plus the RR is 2 acre.
And why, and they want to rezone to what?
To rezone land, they want to,
They said the classification is RE, which is incorrect, okay? It's RR.
No, they wanted it to go to RE.
Now, classification, here's the petition.
rezone lands from RE
Classification from
to
RE to RR.
Oh, okay, and it's already RR.
And it's already RR.
Oh, okay,
According to the color map from dated 12/23 of 15.
from the county.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why there was a lot of confusion.
Okay, so then, what about this resolution on zoning ordinance amendment that we got?
It's what they send out on everything,
Yes.
right? That is, to approve the CSM, is no
Just
question.
to approve the CSM.
CSM, yeah. I have no reason why this would have to go. Now Marvin has passed away.
Right.
And, I don't know, I have no idea why this was done this way.
Well, aren't they doing these resolutions on everything now? On all of them?
Well, they're doing the resolutions for you to approve the CSM.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's what you're asking, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But to approve a rezone that doesn't have to be rezoned doesn't make any sense.
Unless the county's got a different classification for it according on the map than what we have, but
Well, yeah. but
Makes
then-
no sense.
Then you have a complete mess.
exactly.
Who would, we just went through the biennial review.
Exactly, that's
We
why
approved
I'm,
everything, and you've got the new map.
yeah.
All right, are you planning on being at the hearing tomorrow?
No. But, I had no reason to be there.
Well, what happens if we don't do anything about it?
Well, it just goes on and they'll have a hearing, and I think the neighbors have been notified. But there was no reason to hold a hearing here because there's no reason for a zone change.
What we need to do is approve the CSM,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
But don't they need that for their meeting tomorrow?
No. The CSM is you're approving it for the township as a document, a permanent document for the town.
All right, but I thought in that letter that they needed this approval for them to do something over there tomorrow.
If it was being rezoned, they need it.
Right.
But John's saying it's not being rezoned, so they don't need it at all.
But they're saying it is rezoned, to be rezoned. But it's a conflict between what we have and what they have.
Yeah.
So how's that gonna be resolved?
They'll have to table it for tomorrow, okay?
Pardon me?
So they'll have to table it tomorrow. Because we're saying in our maps, all of the information we have within the township structure shows it to be a conforming piece. The county says no, but the county doesn't give it any documentation as to tell us why not.
So how are they gonna know that we don't approve it?
We send an email tomorrow and say that we don't believe it has to be rezoned. Patty, send an email in the morning to Dean. I'll send a second copy myself to Dean,
Okay.
indicating that we don't believe that this is necessary. And Mrs. Makowski should get her $425 back.
we have a motion to approve? the
I'll make a
CS?
motion to approve the Mikulski CSM.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Mikulski CSM.
There's the next one.
All in favor, say take a vote, Patty.
Dave,
Aye.
Carolyn,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the next thing on the agenda is discussion with Plan Commission of Marathon County new planning code.
No, it's not the next one.
Oh, no,
Disapprove.
sorry, I skipped a line. Approve, disapprove, Bauer and Fine copy or purchase agreement. Okay, Patty, you want to give us the scoop?
Our fine sent, estimates and lease agreements for 2 copiers. One is a pre-owned, one is a new one. There's a buyout price on the new one of $4,753. If you compare that to a 60-month lease, it's $1,207 cheaper. The service agreement is $225 a year. That's gonna cover all your ink, toner, pretty much everything that the machine needs other than the paper. One is for a Casera, and the other is for a Konica Minolta Biz Hub. Personal opinion is the pre-owned, we may end up with what we've had and just trouble. So it's the question is, do you enter into a lease or do you buy out and enter into a service agreement?
This is.
What were those numbers again? 4753 was buying the new one,
That's a new machine,
and it has $275 a year.
$225 service agreement a year, and then
That's for the new one.
for the new one.
What's the used one?
The used one is higher. The used one is
It's a higher service
it's
agreement.
a higher service
What's the
agreement.
purchase price?
Purchase price is $2,972.
And
The service
the
is.
service was,
The service is gonna be, $116.25 quarterly. So times 4,
that's 465 a year.
and here's the next caution. The pre-owned is supposed to be a step up than the brain that died in my office. Exact same machine,
When she emailed us that, I ran the numbers and it came out to
6
a wash in 6 years. If you, because of that higher service agreement.
Well, and we already know where we went with the used one.
But with the service agreement, like you said, the numbers are gonna wash, and if something happens like what just happened to us, it'll be covered under that service agreement,
Under either one. Yeah, either one.
either one.
One of your service
But
agreement.
after 6 years, then you're paying more for the used one, actually.
Right.
Which means it will last 6 years. Either one of these two. But I'd be more inclined to go with that new one myself.
What was the lease on that one?
The lease on the new,
Yeah.
lease on the new one is a
Williams.
60-month lease at $99.34 a month. That's with a $1 buyout at the end of the lease. Or a 60-month lease with a fair market value buyout for $89.36 a month.
Yeah, they get you, that's, our daughter said.
So that'd be
Be
$6.
sure you find out what the end,
That'd be
the end buyout is, because
That'd be $6,000 from over in 5 years.
Yeah.
And the other one, the pre-owned, if you lease that, it's a 36-month lease.
And you still have to pay, even with the lease, you can still get a price service agreement.
Correct.
Either way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I make a motion that we, buy the
Question I had was,
unit and the service agreement.
if we could find somewhere buildable.
Is that the
lot.
Kyocera or whatever it is,
He said
That's
the
the
new
biz
one,
hub,
the
right?
new one? It's Biz Hub, or what is it?
the new one is the Casera, the
Casera.
pre-owned is the Biz Hub.
Sarah, okay.
Yeah,
We mentioned that to
okay.
him.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to purchase the new, Kyocera
That keeps me nice and warm all winter
machine,
long, like I said.
copier machine.
So that's 47,
What was this?
53.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
plus the
$25 service
Okay.
per year. Are they the only business in town that
Yes,
we can get a copier from?
yes.
Is it this one?
In town,
It's
yes.
all wetlands.
The closest other is like West.
Yeah, that does,
E.O. Johnson.
E.O. Johnson in Wausau.
We do all our business with E.O. Johnson. And we've had good luck with them, but they're in Wausau.
We've worked with both of them, and we found the barn find has been
The best.
a little better cost-wise overall, and it helps that they're here as far as, we get
Service.
faster
Mhm.
response time. And they do need response. I mean,
Yeah, look what happened to us.
yeah, we had-
That's why I said.
this last year, on our copier, he was in there at least 6 times working on it.
Mm.
So that service agreement is a very important part of what you have to buy.
Okay, is there, do you have any further discussion? Gary?
No.
Does that service agreement cover all the consumables too then?
Yes, that covered everything.
She said everything but
Yeah.
paper.
Everything but paper.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's, ink. Very expensive. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we can take a vote.
Dave, Carolyn,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
So we have that covered under our budget for office equipment.
Yeah, we just blew it.
We just do it, that's what we are. That's what I figured.
That's what budget's
Okay.
are
Okay, well, we have to have a copier. Discussion, next thing on the agenda, discussion with planning commission of Marathon County new planning code. So I'll turn this over to you, John.
All right, I emailed those to all of you, and my copy, again, is on an email format. Members of the citizen group also have copies. What it is, I did a quick history on county zoning as it reflects to our township. And as I noted, since '82, when we went in, Marathon County zoning, the law required that once you were in county zoning, there was really no way to exit until a year ago when the state legislature said if a code is rewritten 51% or more, or amended to that or rewritten, that the townships then have the opportunity to exit county zoning codes and create their own town zoning. Or have no zoning at all. They don't need to be zoned if they don't want to be. There are a number of townships in the town, or in the county of Marathon that are not zoned. One is Johnson, several others, they don't have any zoning whatsoever. Others are town zoned. So when this was passed, there was a citizen committee put together, a task force actually put together to rewrite the code. This is the original code of 2015. This is the brand new code, which now the county is acting under. The code was rewritten. It's much more descriptive. It's easier. Certain items are easier to find and describe. But it is what is called a menu code, so consequently, it takes into everything from farmland preservation right on down to city planning or small village areas and so on and so forth. So this is the one that's existing right now. You can either adopt this, and they passed it on February 16th of 2016. They extended a year that any of the townships could get in or out of county zoning. February 16th of 2017 coming up would be the sunset date. Then any township not adopting it at that time would have their own or no county zoning. To give you some ideas about the fees collected, because there's been a lot of conversation, and I'm going to ask further on down the line that we go to a public hearing this month, set the date, go to a big public hearing with all our other people coming in from the township, so they'll get an opportunity to ask the questions. But I hope today what we would do is have some framework, the board asking questions of the plan commission and so on, so that one, we can do the research on it, number two, we can get you logical answers to your questions, and if you have some fears or other issues that we can take a look at and perhaps solve by getting the documentation. I just gave you an idea what the fees were collected, because some of the questions were how, if we did go our own, how would we pay for it, what will we do? The suggestions are, and these are only a format suggestion, is to start with a zoning administrator, which would be one individual who would handle those requests. The plan commission would review all the land divisions, rezones, and subdivision requests, as they do now, all right? You would then, thirdly, you would establish a board of adjustment out of the citizenry, okay? That would not be comprised of anybody on the plan commission or on the board, unless the board saw fit that they wanted a member of each of those board and commission to be on it, and then established perhaps a 5 to 7 person. All rezone requests and subdivision requests would be fee-based, meaning same situation that would be on here, we would set a fee. At present time, we have, like, for instance, no building permit fee. We collect nothing. A new house built in the town of Nome, we get nothing, absolutely nothing. The money for the plan use, which is the zoning, goes to Marathon County, and then I believe $345 goes to a building inspector. But we have no permit, we don't know anything. For instance, we've had a couple of houses go up, and we had no idea that they were even being built. Until we got, they were almost completely finished, and we got some documentation back from the county that they had issued a zoning permit for building. Okay, we didn't even know if they had a building permit.
Is that normal procedure? They don't inform us that there's a zoning permit been issued?
Yeah.
Or the building inspector doesn't let us know that?
No. It's been that way for virtually ever. But to say communications is questionable, that's an understatement. And all, fifth would be all action taken by the plan commission and the board of adjustment would require board approval. Everything has to come back to the board. Yeah. Open for discussion.
Okay, John, what are we working on the timetable to either exit or stay with the county?
Well, if nothing's happens before February 17th or 17th.
Oh, it's
then
it's February.
February, this
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Then we are basically out of county zoning.
Yeah.
Okay. You could do an interim thing to adopt the county zone to use it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing would be that I mentioned in the letter that, or the memo, that you could go back into county zoning at any time. So, if you tried it, if you won on your own, try to reestablish it and get your own zoning going, which I feel personally, honestly, I have to be very frank about it, that it would be closer to the people. You'd have more transparency. The people would be heard. To me, there would be more logic in that, so that neighbors would have their input. Like for instance, now with this rezone that obviously isn't necessary, but they put out, according to the law, state law, you have to have 300 feet. Anybody going 300 feet within the perimeter of the land to be rezoned would be notified. Well, there were, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 people notified. The only thing is, this hearing is at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. Some of these people work. How do you get there? Where if you had your own zoning in right here in McMillan, that all the hearings would be done in the evening when people, or times available when all of the people that are in the surrounding area and were notified of this action or any other action would have an opportunity to
The other
speak at
question
some
I
point.
would have is, how prompt or when does this go into effect once you would exit county zoning?
Immediately. I mean, what would our zoning?
Yes.
Oh, it would depend upon what the board wanted to do.
And when we adopt it.
But let's say the board adopts it, just hypothetically.
Adopts the new code?
No,
Oh,
exits
exits the, okay.
county zoning.
All right, well, that's something we need to talk about.
Oh.
How quickly we get on it, you know, how quickly we get on looking at, let's say, plagiarism is not a bad thing. Okay? So, you don't want to reinvent the bike and the wheel, right? You got to document before you, this one.
Yeah, yeah.
You take and choose what you want out of it. Okay?
Yeah, no, I follow that.
Got it.
My question, it goes back to, because I would be leaning toward exiting the county zoning just to get the process done. And if within a month or 2 months, something goes haywire, then go back into county zoning again. If you can see it, that it isn't going to work, or it's gonna be too costly.
Well, workshops can be done, you know, we can put 2 meetings together or whatever, or a workshop with the public involved to, you know, take portions out of this code that, as it applies to us.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
we're a very unique township. We are not the same as, you know, we're more like the town of Rib Mountain than we are of something out there
Did you get one of
in the hinterland. Okay. So ours is kind of different, and the several members that were, like for instance, the McMillan representatives, there were 2 of us, and the Rib Mountain representative sort of had agreement that we just don't need all of this, because we just don't use it. We're unique in a way, more urbanized than we realize. But also, we have to continue to save what we can of our farmlands, you know, and wise use of land. That's what planning is all about. It's just a wise use of land, just not a helter-skelter situation. You know, we've seen it before where all prior, present, and past farmers exclude this, okay? I'll take a section, but, you know, they have the farm, all of a sudden, they want to sell their farm.
Yeah.
Well, it's great for development, right? Is it in the sphere that you wanted? Is it in the master plan? Is it in the program? So far, the adoption, I think, was 1992, Mike, was it 1992? That the comprehensive zone, our plan was put together per year.
05 or 02 was.
02. Oh, redone, right?
Yeah.
02.
On smart growth or.
We have followed that to the letter, and that was a growth pattern that we had established and you approved, and it's on our map and so on. So that's,
Do you know,
this is no little
do you
thing.
know any townships, any towns in the county that have their own zoning?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know?
Well, that was kind of, I was gonna ask that same question, just
Cleveland?
our bordering towns, right, the townships that border us, what their status was gonna be for that.
Emmett has it.
Spencer's gone and adopted a new code.
Emmett,
What?
Cleveland has no zone.
Emmett? Emmett?
Emmett.
Cleveland?
Yeah.
See, Spencer-
Cleveland
Cleveland has no zoning.
No zoning.
Cleveland has none. Emmett
Franklin
has their
doesn't
own
have any
zoning.
zoning. Johnson has no zoning.
Town of Days on County.
I can get you, I'd have all that for a public hearing, ready to show you how many. There's only, I believe, there's only 16 out of the 30-some townships that are county zone. It's relatively small in deference to how many townships there really are.
So roughly 50%.
You're right, exactly. Some of them have their own zone. and have done well. The only thing that I can tell you over the experience of time is that it's very difficult to deal with the county. They've had a lot of turmoil, they've had a lot of turnovers, you get the sense when you work even as a deputy zoning administrator for the county, you get an idea that the county wants to control everything. And of course, that hasn't been the way it is in McMillan. McMillan's a different township all the way around. Politically, philosophically.
If we decide to do this, John, what's gonna happen at February 17th? We won't have any zoning.
Well, all you really need to do is say you don't adopt the Marathon County Code, but you use the General Code of Ordinances of Marathon County as your guideline.
But then we have to have,
A lot more than
we've gotta
that.
get stuff in, we've gotta get all these things
Mhm.
up and running. We have to have a zoning administrator.
Not by the 17th. You could.
Well, are you gonna go for 2 months, 3 months that we don't have anybody that's gonna be doing anything with zoning because we don't have a zoning administrator or the Board of Adjustments or any of that we can't do anything with zoning?
No, I don't see that at all. You can appoint an interim person, one of the members of the board. Just
Well-
do an interim.
In my opinion, I would not go for this at all unless all of this was in place, ready to go. And we don't have much time. I think that you have to have an administrator ready to go. You have to have what you want, your code. This is my opinion, my personal opinion. Your Board of Adjustment can come, but, I don't think that you can have this, as Joe said, disappear on 17th or 16th of February, and we have nothing. We can't wait till then to figure out who the administrator would be and how you're gonna administrate it. Correct? Why? Why wouldn't you? That's planning.
Butch,
Excuse me, John.
Butch.
Yeah, I just got a quick question. We pay county taxes. Does that
Yeah.
provide the service for this year's zoning administrator and all that? If we get out of county zoning and we do it on our own, we still pay that county tax. Are we double dipping maybe, or? I'm just asking. I don't know.
I think.
That's what I was gonna ask
You're-
too.
I think that's
The
correct.
fees that we're paying here, we're still gonna pay, correct?
No,
No, that would stay in the town.
these would cease.
What you see here
It would
is,
come to the town.
would stay to the town. Right now, it goes to the county.
But our taxes,
Part of that.
out of
Part
our
of the
tax
taxes
bill,
operating
goes
county.
to the
But I
county.
think that would be minor for our portion of someone's salary. I think, but
And
Well, I
these
know.
guys are-
You're paying county tax, but you're paying county tax for all the services,
Yeah.
for all the departments.
Is that part of it though?
Yes.
Oh, sure, it's part, obviously it would be part of it, yeah, now, I don't know whether, frankly, I could ask the question, do they appropriate the number, a dollar figure by virtue of how many towns are zoned? Okay? Against, do they collect the same for non-zoned towns or town zone zoning as they do for ones that are in the county?
Or what about those that don't have any?
I don't know that one right offhand.
Well, that would be,
because we got our county man here, he's got to have some answers.
He's a resident tonight.
I'm a resident.
So, I don't know. I think that we have to have I don't,
Well, let me get back to I said no, when you pointed out your position, and I don't agree with it. Okay, we could have this in place by doing workshops very quickly. this month and have it ready for you, okay?
Mhm.
We would like one public hearing, one large public hearing,
Yes,
because I want to hear from the constituents.
you bet.
Right, I mean, you can have formed opinions on commissioners and board members and so on, and the plan commission, of course, works much closer than the board does with this particular document, okay?
Correct.
It was our Bible for, well, it is forever, okay? So I would tend to lean heavily to the plan commission for their input
Mhm.
and answers to constituents' questions, but we can put the workshops together and get it done for you. And we could get it done by our meeting on the 23rd and make the full presentation to you by then.
Well, I
work
would,
for you?
what we've got, and I looked at my calendar a little while ago, that we've got 2 board meetings before that magic date here, the 16th.
Mhm.
So one is next week, and I would hope that we could have some more questions, some of these questions answered. You know, at least
Yeah,
a
sure.
little bit more. And then you'd have, if we decide that we wanna, you know, I don't know how we do that then, if we can, we wouldn't necessarily have to adopt it at that one, but we could do something where we'd have a public hearing and then make the decision on our February board meeting if after the public hearing.
We have,
gotta have
our
some
regular
input.
meeting is on the 23rd. We could do a workshop, a couple of workshops at least, maybe between now and then, and have those documents ready.
Well, and the hearing.
Well, then you have to set a hearing date. Do you want a
I
public
want to
hearing?
set a hearing date right now.
Mhm.
Yes, please?
Could I keep my calendar up? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fine. I'm glad you were there, all right? We have, what date do you want? We have our regular meeting on the 23rd, which we could then have the public hearing at that point.
What kind of notices are required for that, Patty, for a public hearing like for that? How many days notice do we
It
need?
should be a 30-day notice.
30-day notice on a
You
public
only,
hearing?
you only need 21.
21? Okay.
21 days? Okay.
Well, you know, you have
Well, the hearing won't be able to be till the last week of January.
I think it's absolutely imperative that we have the, community give their opinion. I mean, after whatever presentation.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, so,
Most definitely.
but we just got,
All right,
we ended up with a.
6th of February, that would, if we did it tonight, the public hearing notice would go out immediately to all of the.
6th of February?
Yeah. That gives
Our
you,
meeting is the 13th.
yeah, that gives you the 30 days. All right,
Very good.
and we could have then that way it meets Patty's, I think there's only 21, but Patty, if she wants 30, we'll give her 30. 23rd is our regular meeting, but we'll hold workshops in between it. We could do a preliminary format on the 23rd. Give you documentation how far it's going, right? Okay.
Good.
I need more negative responses. I need more
I'm
people to
not,
tell me.
those are not negative responses, those are honest to goodness, concerns.
Yeah.
So you have a list of pros and cons? Why we should stay, and why we should have our own and get out of the county?
I think that.
That's what he's presented here.
Close to there's some of them, yeah, there's some of them. The other key is, do we want to plan our township? Do we want to plan our township in the future? Or do we want the county to do so? At least the way it's been going so far in the last couple of years is that the county has asserted more and more and more power. And like, for instance, these documents that come through that they're contradictory to the things that we have on file here.
Could you have some more information for us on this for next week's meeting?
Sure. What do you
And-
want?
Well, just more things that we have to think about and why we should be doing it, and more details on it, if you come up with that, and maybe a little more on how we're gonna implement it. How you see us implementing it a little more deep, more specifically,
Okay.
just so we got that to think about. And then maybe the other thing we should do Maybe? Should we be having someone from the county tell us why we shouldn't? I don't know who would do that.
Yes, they have,
Have them tell us why we should
yeah,
stay with them.
yeah,
And that would give
they
us-
offered some time back to come and talk to us.
Okay,
If, since they hadn't heard from us, they wondered what direction we're going. And I said, I have no idea at this point.
okay.
And so they said, well, we'd be glad to come and talk to you. So I think that would be important.
Who would be contacting them?
No, I was just
Rob,
gonna say, invite them to your
volunteer.
hearing, not me. but
Yeah,
invite
well,
them
I'm
to your
thinking
hearing.
that maybe we need them at next Monday's meeting, talk to the board.
It'd be short notice.
Yeah, maybe,
I think
maybe
I
they
could
would,
swing it.
but maybe they would.
I think I could swing it
And,
to get.
and then,
somebody.
yes, at the hearing, so they
Yeah.
can answer
Yeah.
the people's questions.
Right,
Very- Absolutely.
that's, yeah.
And then we can decide, and that's what we've got to have that information to make that decision, I think.
Patty just gave me the count. There are 19 in the county, 14 have their own, and 7 have none. So there are a few. Well, let us hear, briefly hear maybe from some of the other planning commission.
Carol, what was that count again?
19 are in county zone.
Majority of those 19 have adopted the new code.
Okay.
How many?
Majority of them. There is, Day hasn't, O'Plain, Halsey, and McMillan,
That's 4 out of
19.
4 out of 19, so that's only 15 that have adopted.
It's 42 towns.
14 had their own, and how many didn't have anything?
I mean, 7. Yeah, 7.
So you almost have a 50-50 with their own zoning and county zoning,
Yeah.
and then you have 7 that have no zoning.
Mike, why don't you give your opinion?
In case in point, what we have in front of us, contradictory information. I feel we can do a better job for our residents at the local level versus going through Big Brother up there.
Then what about legal end of it, and that's my only question, maybe you can.
Since 1982.
I understand, we haven't had any.
Never, not since 1982, so I'm gonna go with some longevity there. Since 1982, we've never had a court case in zoning.
There have been a few issues over past where somebody built too close to lot line and this and that. County took care of that.
Usually when there's a conflict or a problem,
They didn't get properly permitted.
the individual, one or another gets an attorney, and the attorney will look at the documentation, state ordinances and so on, and usually tell the client they're right or they're wrong, and don't go to litigation. You know, it isn't worth it. And in most instances, the people are very good about understanding the code and so on. We're not gonna beat a dead horse on this thing, because Mike and I have got too much into this to tell you the problems and the hair pulling and the gray hair and everything that we've lost working with the county, okay? It has been an absolute nightmare. No matter who is the DMZ, it is a nightmare, because it's the same situation. You've talked to the county about timeframes. All right, please, we need this documentation. This is our procedure, this is how we do it. They have absolutely thrown that out the window, do whatever they please. So do they listen to the towns? No. Do they give the towns lip service? Yes. You know, do you think they're helping you? Yes. That's the illusion they create. That's my opinion. That I'm working with it. So I'm going to tell you that's not only my opinion, that's actually working proof that I've got that that's happened to me. And when Mike was chair, the same situation. And when in my absence, Mike is vice. Ron, you run up against that. The one night you said, who can you believe in?
Yeah.
So
That's been an ongoing problem.
Right, okay, Ron?
Well, I spoke already.
Yeah, okay. How about you, John? I mean, I know
Well,
you're,
I've got the lowest tenure here, so I can't really speak to some of, some of the struggles that the group has had with the county before. I can just say that, you know, I think it is appealing, and we should consider the opportunity that's in front of us to be a little more in control of our destiny, which we're not gonna have another chance to make this decision for 10 years. So I think we should choose wisely and know that, you know, we're gonna be giving that up. So it is a unique opportunity to do something that I think a lot of townships that I've spoke to have taken that advantage and have taken over control because they wanted more say in what happens, because they live in the community and they want to have that input and that control. But I think you have to be able to do it cost effectively.
I personally think that it makes sense to do that. But I'm a little concerned about the time schedule, but, you know, that we've got
Yeah,
a month to
yeah,
do it.
we're
basically.
short here, that's why.
That's what bothers me, but if we can do it, you know, that's one thing you should be showing us at our next meeting, is that how we can implement.
And maybe it's a phase approach, right? Maybe there's a phase that gets you through the first 3 or 4 months,
Yeah.
and then there's a final phase that gets you through. And I
Yes,
think we should have a plan as a
Because we can't have something, if somebody comes in and needs something rezoned and there's nothing,
Right.
nothing's there, we can't go to the county,
Well,
we
I
can't
would
go to
think
us.
we would use the county code until we make a decision as to, you know, do your own or continue using the county
Well,
code.
It's not only the code though, it's having the whole zoning
the
administration
administration of
in
it.
place.
Yeah.
Then we have to make sure we got that
Yeah.
set up and going.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe there can be a month of
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
nothing, but
Yeah,
I can't see it being
I guess, I,
2 or 3
my
months. I think
only
that's-
thing is,
we
you
gotta have more.
got that opportunity to bail out, which you won't have for 10 years.
Yeah, so, and that makes sense.
And
especially
but
the
you
fact
can
you
go
can-
back in anytime.
Well, that's, I don't understand that. You got, if you're in, you gotta stay in for 10 years. If you don't go in, you can jump back in anytime you
Well,
want.
they want you to be a part of them.
That just doesn't sound right to me.
Well, no, yeah, Gary,
No.
that's what the state said, okay? That's a state law. That isn't what the county said. Oh, you're absolutely right about jumping back in or going back into county zoning. But the state had so many problems with county zones across the state that, and clamoring. If you remember correctly, we went to the township, right? And your association, Towns Association. And we got a legal opinion from their attorney about removing ourselves from county zoning. And he indicated that you could not do it until the legislature was willing to put something in the process that you could do it. And that's when the state said, okay, if that code is amended 51% or more, or rewritten, the townships then have the option to exit county zoning, all right? But they're also given the opportunity to go into county zoning at any time. So that's what it is now.
But, and then I imagine if you go into it, you're gonna have to commit to 10 years at that.
Oh,
time.
yes.
That would be the time.
And the reason the 10-year period, it wouldn't be a 10-year. Let's say in a year from now, 2 years from now, it just doesn't seem to work. And you go back into county zoning, well, actually, it's only 8 years because they have to review and redo their zoning every 10 years now. The state said that. No more, longevity period of X number of years.
But then with that-
forever.
So, but that doesn't, but then at that point, they don't have to rewrite that again at 51% before you get, if you want to say you wanna get out then.
No, but you have the opportunity.
But you have that.
But they have to
After
review it.
that, at that review time, you have to get out.
Right.
One other thought is, and I think it's a good idea to listen to the county zoning, right? Understand their ask. I think it would
I don't know
also
anything
be,
about it, I'd like to know
Yeah.
what their feeling is.
right, and I think that's good. I think, and again, if we can make it work, but I think there's value in talking to 1 or 2 townships to understand how, that are currently zoning
do that.
themselves. They're currently doing themselves and understanding, is it hard? What's the challenges? What's the pitfalls? Because obviously 14 have figured out a way to do it. So do they, and they're staying with it. So, but they probably learned a lot of things through that process. I think it would be good for us to talk to them, if we could, pull that off somehow. I think there's a lot of good, because obviously you're gonna get one side of the equation from talking to the county. And since we haven't done it by ourselves yet, we really can't inject a lot of reasonable input there in terms of what it's gonna be like, but if you talk to a township that currently has it, I think that would give you both sides of the coin.
And it depends on what the population and development pressure is in that particular township.
Town of Rib Mountain has been very forthcoming with information, because they're the closest to us as far as our profile is concerned. You know, they're much bigger, obviously, and they have a much bigger commercial entity than we do as far as tax bases are concerned. But I was working with Laura McCracken, who was the vice chair for the Citizens Group, and she's from Rib Mountain, and she's on the Rib Mountain Planning Commission. And, you know, you could see a lot of things that just didn't fit with anybody else, but then we did with Rib Mountain. And Rib Mountain is very good at giving you, they'll give you all kinds of documentation that you want, that'll work together. One thing about it is that the townships do cooperate, even the ones that aren't zoned or are self-zoned. They'll be very forthcoming and helping you, as we would be to them, in the same way.
Yeah, well, and we just need, I think obviously, that's why I really wanted to push for this discussion.
Yeah, no,
Because I thought if there's gonna be anything done, I mean, I absolutely would not be for this unless we have some of this, we've got to have some of this information and some plans.
And I think, you know, we need an idea what this is gonna cost. I mean, we're gonna pay somebody to be the,
Well, he just said, Gary, though, that you see here for the money that you collect, I don't know, I mean, every time they write a permit, they get $400 and some. Well, we certainly could have a fee, would have a fee for writing one, maybe, but probably not that much.
See, this is only
But that's how you would offset your
the dollars.
administrator costs.
The
but-
dollars I gave you here are what we wrote as McMillan's residents, okay? And McMillan's, these are the applications that this office, which is mine, the deputy zoning administrator for McMillan, this is what I wrote. This is not reflective of the actual cost. It's much more, because the county writes many more permits that we get sometimes after the buildings are up. We get copies.
These are just the ones that you wrote?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That we didn't get a cent for, but could have, if
Yeah,
we charged the same amount that the county
But you
does.
don't get a cent for anything else either.
so then we would be responsible for
Then we would.
building permits. Somebody's gonna put in a holding tank or any kind of permit they gotta get.
No, those are others.
But the sanitary goes to the county and the state. We stay away from the sanitary, so we don't have any problems. Ours would
Just
be,
zoning and building.
use of land and building, if you wanted to, okay? See, right now, you hired a gentleman from Mosinee that, I believe he's charging $340 per house. He's the building inspector
More
for,
than that, it doubled
did it,
this last year.
did it, okay, then see.
It's
And we,
Robert Christensen?
yeah.
Isn't that what it is?
You know, but you could have a user fee basis or
Or
whatever.
just for the sanitary?
It was over $1,000 just for.
Yeah, I know. And you could have that, but what I'm saying is since 1982, the town of McMillan hasn't collected one penny on anything. Yet all the resources for the town, the clerk, the mailings and everything, are expensed to the township. And the township sends that out, does that type of thing, and gets nothing back. So in essence, what's happened is you haven't had a red cent in here since the joint county zoning, but you put on thousands and thousands of dollars outlay during that time. So to answer your question, yeah, it's been a losing proposition for the town, if you look at it that way.
Can we find out how much of our taxes go to the planning zoning?
We're just gonna ask.
We can ask the county how much out of the township.
Bobby,
Yes.
help us.
No, he's a
My
citizen.
budget was that big, I can't tell you offhand.
Yeah. No, but who would know? County collector?
Christie Cordes up there, or, Carter,
Yeah.
between Brent Carter and his office, they would know. Christie Cordes is the one that's pretty much in charge.
She's the money person.
She's the budget.
She's the money
Budget
person.
whip, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Does anybody have information when the housing was really going there in, from 2000 to 2005 compared to right now? And if that would return again, these figures would be really small if building would catch on again. And I think it probably will, you know. So then these figures would be really on the low side.
Or they'd be much higher, fee base, yeah, much higher.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Because these are years where there was not a lot of building done.
yeah.
Well, Joe, you would know as well as I do, or more so. Take the last 3, 4, or 5 years
The last
compared
couple
to.
years, it's been
Yeah.
up again.
You know,
Yeah, it's up higher, but if you go back to.
And that's really,
One day a week.
you know, what I see is totally different than what's happening in our town. Because we've got, what I'm seeing is stuff that's happening, like in Weston, we do a tremendous amount of stuff over in the Weston area.
Yeah.
And that's just bonkers right now
Mhm.
in that area. So it's kind of hard to balance all that, where it's happening, but
Mhm.
Well,
but in general, it's definitely, there's an uptick right now.
Yeah.
There hasn't it?
And I think that, you know, because at this particular time, the highest volume in tax revenue and so on, it comes from the farmers, okay?
Mhm.
But then again, if building starts up, if we're looking at actually generating a little bit of money out of building, it'll be whether the medical complex moves forward with some grandiose plans and so on. I mean, nobody can predict the future, obviously, but it makes a difference. You know, is the town going to get, I think we have a meeting, joint plan commission meeting on the 13th of January. You know, again, what do they see? You know, we can ask that and find out if, you know, if they have any plans for growth. Obviously, McMillan is the first choice of virtue to everybody if land is available, lots available. But I think the last time we did, it was 3 or 4 years ago, we did a prospectus on land available for building in a township, and it was a lot higher than we thought it was going to be.
We had 7 new homes in 16.
And look at the dollar volume in those homes, so,
Yeah.
you know, that's the other key. You know, you could have $725,000 houses, or you could have $7 million houses. It makes a big difference in revenue. In fact, when I did the revenue on Drake and Dave for Mr. Arneson, it was amazing, you know, the dollar volume. And we went off tax, not off equalized valuation, but actual taxes paid.
Mhm.
You know, so it was substantial.
Mhm.
All right, this week, what date do you guys available? What we're gonna do is we'll do 3 workshops,
Perfect.
okay, and we'll post them immediately, the dates,
Okay.
right? So we'll work the first one, so we'd like to have some citizen input too,
Yes.
even in the planning stage.
Okay.
I'm free almost every day.
Okay.
Wednesdays are, Wednesday and Thursday I could probably make work. Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday, we will?
Yeah.
How about Wednesday? All right, all right, we'll set it for this Wednesday, it'll be the first workshop meeting. Okay,
What's that? That's it.
January 5th.
Okay.
We'll post that tomorrow. And we will start working on it. If they're, email me or any of the commissioners, if you've got any more questions, citizens, please do so. Love to have the input, we'll see what we,
Did you say Wednesday the 5th?
Thursday.
Or
Oh,
Thursday?
excuse me, no, Wednesday.
Wednesday's the
I'm sorry.
4th.
The 4th, yeah, the 4th, yeah, Wednesday,
Oh,
the
yeah,
4th.
today's the 2nd,
Second.
4th.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, and the public hearing, did we say it's
We will have it
February
on,
6th?
we will have it on the
February
what,
6th.
huh?
February 6th.
February 6th.
Yep. February 6th.
We might have a draft document ready for the 23rd, but I'll put that on our agenda. That's our agenda for the plan commission, that's the
Yes.
regular meeting. Okay.
And then be sure you'll have something at our next Monday's meeting for us to talk about. Yeah, just a
That's
little
why
more.
we're holding Wednesday meeting.
I know.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else, Dad?
That'll do it.
Glad you're.
Will there be a solid time on that hearing date? What time of the day?
Oh, 7 p.m.?
Because they have a tendency to change sometimes. We had a caucus change in the middle of the stream. It was publicized since the 12th, but within a few days, it was gonna be at 6:30, now it's at 6 o'clock. That looks kind of strange to me.
That's right, mine was last year.
That's what's problem.
And that, I think, is
I
my
tell you,
fault,
yeah,
because I thought
I
it
went
was
over
6.
and
Well,
I
I-
said,
Six don't bother
"Hey,
me.
this
Like,
is
if you can work your
fine."
clock.
And then it comes out.
I'd rather start early and be done.
Yeah, yeah,
About 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
yeah, that would,
On the 4th, it's.
especially in the winter time.
Yeah, first workshop will be Wednesday, January 4th at 6 p.m. We'll move it up so that.
When's it, what is?
Wednesday, January
It's
4th
6,
at 6 o'clock.
okay. But the public hearing is remaining at 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are the start of the workshops. We'll
Okay.
try to get 3-4 workshops in, 3 workshops in. So that we'll have so on the 23rd, which is our actual monthly meeting, we will have a draft document for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And everybody.
Any further discussion? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do we need to act on this?
Plan commission, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So,
That was a
adjourn.
question that I was going
Okay.
to ask.
What?
You know, we sent correcting things out, and I thought it was 6 o'clock, it was 6:30. For the call.
It was 6:30, we said it at the board meeting.
Yeah, but then they put the wrong date, so, and I thought it was at 6 o'clock. So when he changed all that, he put 6 o'clock on the one he changed.
That's because you told me.
He gave me-
Because that's what I thought it was 6 o'clock.